Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us here on USA Global TV and Radio. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Roland. I'm kind of veteran here on this channel, hosting and doing more than 300 shows here on the Mallorca Connection, on the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle, on the Men's Channel, on the Environment Channel. Many topics. I'm very happy that I'm back on the Mallorca Connection. And for those who have no idea why it's called the Mallorca Connection, because when we started this show 3 years ago, my home base was in Mallorca. That's why we called it Mallorca Connection. And it's always a pleasure for me to interview amazing people, to learn from there, and to listen to their sharings and their insights. Actually, today I'm not joining from the US. I'm here now, right now, based in Sicily. So in our outside of the US, I'm here in Italy, in Sicily, and I'm broadcasting from my motorhome. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a speaker, I'm an author. So I always love to get to know each other, to share and care and introduce amazing people to the world, because it's all about introducing new ideas, new insight, new aspects, knowledge, whatever that helps you for a better life. And today I have an amazing guest. It's David Lyon. We bring him on the show soon. In the background, you see my website. It's roland-friedl.com if you're curious about me and learn more about me. So you have links there to my business operations. I have 35 years experience in consulting, coaching, huge tech companies all over the globe. And I still do. To be honest, I wanted to finish this, but I get so many requests at the end of this year for next year already. I'm also very engaged in the men's work, and I also do one-to-one mentoring, coaching for people who want to have a similar lifestyle than myself. And as I mentioned today, we have an amazing guest, David Lyon. I met him actually this year on a conference in Berlin in Germany, and we're going to talk about, when you're interested in conscious business, what is a conscious business to be successful in 2025? So it's time to prepare already for the next year. So let's welcome David Lyon.
Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Good to be here.
Hi, David. Thanks. Great to see you again, man. I guess you're based in Vienna or outside of Vienna in Austria?
Yeah, so I'm based like 20 minutes by car outside of Vienna. It's right now the perfect in between, like having the big city with awesome entrepreneurs, but being surrounded by nature. So yeah, I feel lucky to be in this place.
Beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, to our audience, so we have USA Global TV and Radio has international shows. So I'm based in Sicily, in Italy. My guest is based in Austria, so we're both in Europe at the moment. So we're gonna, before we start, David, about conscious business. Before we talk about the different terms, so everybody's a similar understanding what we're talking about. I guess it's very critical in the moment that we know already what we're talking about. Is what is your background? And I guess you're not born as a coach. Or what's your
Well, I started early on, to be honest. But what's my background? Well, I was a psychology student. That's like 10 years ago. I was on the path of becoming a psychotherapist. I really always enjoyed human-centric psychotherapy. So, believing in the human potential, helping people grow. But at the same time, I noticed I was kind of on a path that wasn't really mine. Like I was doing something that I was kind of expected from the outside, that I was told this is good. And so I made the decision after 3 years of studying psychology, so almost being finished, almost having my bachelor's degree, I quit and I just went on a journey to discover like what is it that I really want to do, what feels true to me, how can I create a life where I feel like, wow, this feels meaningful, it feels impactful, and it feels nourishing for me. So I quit university, and because I had a terrible heartbreak with a woman in these months, I got into men's work. I was like, what does it mean to be a man? What might be missing in my understanding? What are maybe qualities that I could develop? And so I was a men's coach for 5 years, I think, helping men connect to their purpose, become more embodied, live a life that feels true and authentic to them. And in the last, I'd say 3 years, I slowly transitioned to becoming a somatic business coach. And we might talk about the somatic piece later, but I'll just say, yeah, I always attracted people who live an unconventional life. And for me, entrepreneurship is a beautiful expression of that, of carving your own path, of doing what really feels meaningful and exciting to you, rather than following a path that someone else kind of carved for you. So that's a short summary. That's how I ended up being a business coach. And yeah, I feel so honored to get to live the life that I live right now, to work with amazing people, to have a very spacious schedule, which feels really important to me. So yeah, here I am.
So this is your website. We're gonna click through it a little bit. Yeah, actually, we have some similarities. I also quit university before my degree. Actually, I wanted to become a teacher. To be honest, I wanted to start as a teacher. So I went to university and I was studying German philology and history.
Wow.
And in my first year, by chance, I started a company. I had a mentor and I started a company. And I made my first million. And I said, oh my gosh, with the lifestyle as a student at 21, how can I afford the same lifestyle like becoming a teacher in a school? So I quit university. I started my businesses, and then I went to another university to learn more about business, and then in Vienna. And then I found out, actually coming close to the end, what I'm learning here doesn't make any sense to my business.
Yep.
So I quit again. Yeah, let's quit. But yeah, let's sorry for that. But let's start into your website so we get a short overview. I'm gonna bring up your website again, and then we click a little bit through, and then we start about somatic business coach. Yes, it's coming. So you're offering different mentoring master classes, especially about marketing and sales. To be honest, I had the pleasure and the honor to join 2 of your classes, as far as I remember, and it was really, really cool content. Even as an old businessman, I was 60, with a 40 years experience, I still could learn something new from you. That was really amazing. So let's have a
I'm
click.
curious, like what felt different to you, or what felt like something that felt valuable to you?
That's a good question. So what I really learned about it is about position yourself more. It's more self-position. When I started businesses, especially in sales, it was more about of course, it's all about the customer, and it was all about telling a long story, how I started my company, introducing the company, and now it's much shorter. It's just positioning. What kind of value do you bring? Meaning, how do you bridge the gap between what should be and is the current situation? So it's more on the customer's value than on your own history of your company or stuff like that. Because everybody gives a shit on it, to be honest. And if somebody's interested, they can always Google you and go on your website and read a little bit about your company. So that's one of the main things. It's all about the customer, because selling is a buying decision, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. So what's you call yourself a somatic business coach? What do you understand of it? What is a somatic business coach?
So somatic comes from the Greek word soma, which means body. And the reason why I call myself a somatic business coach is, to be honest, I struggled for a long time to call myself a business coach at all, because I don't have, I mean, I have some positive experiences, but generally my perception of the business coaching field isn't that positive. I find there's a lot of, it's very mentally focused. And to me, and like my setup and who I am, it often felt too pushy. So when I say I'm a somatic business coach, what I try to communicate there is the way that I operate in my business and the way that I support people is in a way that they can stay connected to their body and that they can use the wisdom that they have access to beyond just their mind. Like there are different levels of intelligence we all have. And if we just operate from the mind, we have a very limited perception and understanding. And so if we include more things like emotional intelligence and our intuition, these kind of things, the way that I operate my business will be much more holistic. And with that, it will most likely be, this is another term that I use, nervous system friendly. So that just means I won't burn out. I won't feel overly stressed by going out there into the world, but I actually find a way to move forward that is sustainable. And that really, I feel really passionate about sustainable businesses for many reasons. And so that's why I call myself a somatic business coach.
Thank you. I really love it. Not just the term, but what's behind that. Because I've been consulting international tech companies all over the globe for many years, and I still do. So I have a lot of insights about these companies, and it's very mental driven, absolutely mental driven. So when let's think about, make it quite simple. We have 4 parts in our head. It's the rational part, the emotional part, the spiritual part, the intuitive part. Mostly companies are only interested when you come as an employee to the corporate world. They're only interested in your rational part and leave the other side. What's your emotion? What's your spiritual? Well, thank you. We just want this part of you. And that's the reason why most people are unhappy. They feel stressed. They're running around with a mask. They cannot show themselves like they really are. And what could be very beneficial for company if they will allow them to show up as a whole being like they are. Let's call it like this.
Yeah, which is scary because I think one of the reasons we're so focused on the mind and the rational level is because we feel more in control when we do that. So accessing these other levels of intelligence requires a level of surrender. There's like I don't know what will come up there. And so it's more vulnerable than just operating from the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And business is changing, our markets are changing, the clients are changing. Just a short extent, nothing to do with conscious business. But when we showed up your website, it's quite simple. I remember most people, what I see in the market is when they start a new business, and this, guys, is for you when you're listening and watching the USA Global TV, hear this show, and you want to start up a business. Most people think about the logo, the website, fancy colors, pictures. You don't need this shit in the beginning, to be honest. What you need is just a raw concept. And then being brave enough and going out to the market and deliver, or before you deliver, develop your product, your service together with your clients. Just go starting. So there's so many people out there who have amazing ideas. And what I call them is they're dying in beauty because they're so afraid to do the thing. What it has to be done is contact clients and see if somebody needs your service.
Yeah. And so I totally agree. And I kind of have, because of exactly what you're saying, I don't have a website just to prove a point to people that you really don't need it. Like I could have one by now, and probably eventually I'll have it. But I think the biggest reason why we focus on all these things, like making things look pretty, is because it feels safer. It feels safer to work for 2 years on your website rather than to go out with something and sell in a Google Doc. But I always say, if you cannot sell a product through a Google Doc, a website won't help you. If you have validated you can sell something through a Google Doc, then maybe you can eventually move to a website and you'll sell a bit more because some people need kind of those visuals, but most people don't. And it's also a bit of a branding thing that I like to be positioned as sort of like quick and dirty, like just get going, just get feedback, get validation. You don't need all this fancy stuff. If you're a photographer, for example, you want to have a pretty website because people will judge you based on the pictures that you have. But for the work that I do, I really don't need that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I remember, I'm now 40 years in the business. Can you imagine 40 years in the business? And I was flying all over the globe, and with the biggest companies in the world I was working. I never had a website, and even I never had a business card, to be honest, because by chance I don't know, I ran into one of these guys. It was Xerox in the beginning. And then I got recommendations that, okay, call this company, this company called me, this company called me. And they came to me and asking about my services because they heard about me working in the US, in Africa, in the Middle East and so on. And I started having, because I had a lot of time during the pandemic, everything was shut down. So I actually, my first website, ladies and gentlemen, what we saw in the beginning, was done by an agency in 2020 during the pandemic, because I was nothing to do because my clients haven't been allowed to travel, so I could facilitate any consulting, coachings, trainings, and it took a time for them to change to virtual classroom. So in that meeting, what I'm doing. So okay, let's do a website, and I started very late. But to be honest, I never got any client because of my website. Some clients go on my website, but existing clients, because they want to see what's new, but never ever get anything about my and I run a huge business, but it never ever came from the website, and I still don't even have a business card. I still don't have.
So this what you just said is a powerful point. Is I think why I advocate so much for putting yourself out there almost like as quickly as possible, because you have like maybe the linear path of like, okay, this is how I might get clients quickly. But then you have all the like non-linear possibilities that can open up if you just put yourself out there. Like I've had an online presence for 6 years. I've continuously showed up on Facebook for 6 years now. And the amount of connections that created and opportunities, collaborations, invitations like this, I would have never been able to anticipate. I would have never been able to, in my mind, be like, okay, I'm going to show up consistently and this is what's going to happen, right? So sometimes we heavily underestimate the kind of unexpected opportunities that come if we just put ourselves out there. And I think relationships that develop from that is almost like the most powerful asset we have in business. It's like,
Absolutely.
someone really resonates with you. Cool. They might open up a totally new world to you that you by yourself would never have access to.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that, because actually in this digital world and this global world and digital world and technology, we still want to connect with other people, and we want to know who is the person behind it. It's not about a website and what service. It's about the person behind it. And social media is an amazing platform. Some go on Facebook or on Instagram. I prefer for my business LinkedIn. So it doesn't matter, but to show up, but not only business content, but also private videos about yourself, and people get a feeling about the person. Is there a sense of connection, and do I really want to work with this person? And not, are there similar values and stuff like that? That's so important.
So this might go into a conversation around sales. I don't know if we want to go there, but I'll just briefly mention that the way people make decisions, like, oh, do I want to work with David or not, is mostly driven by intuition, and then we add a layer of rationale on top. So most people think like, oh, we make rational decisions, like, oh, I'm doing this because the price is good or whatever, some kind of rational reason. But in reality, and this is not like my word, this is the science behind like decision making, we have an intuitive impulse, and then our mind needs a reason, like a validation, like, yeah, this is a good impulse because of this and that. And so if I understand that people make decisions mostly intuitively and not so much based on facts, even though they can be important, that should inform how I show up. And so if I show up in an authentic way, I'm likely going to draw in people who have a big resonance with me, which is great. Like, I don't want to draw people in who don't resonate with me. Like, no one would enjoy that, right?
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, actually, just to announce, we do another show next week together with David. So he's willing to do another interview with us, and then we go deeper and deeper. So stay until the end of the show, and then we'll let you exactly know what's the topic about the next show. But this time we want to more focus on conscious business. sounds a little bit, business on one hand, conscious, like a spiritual stuff. How does this fit together? What do you understand about conscious and conscious business?
Yeah, so the frame that the phrasing that I often use, or like if people ask me who do I work with, I often say spiritual entrepreneurs. And so what I mean by that is obviously like everyone can have a different understanding of the word spiritual and of the word conscious. What I mean by that is, one, I don't run my business in a way that is supposed to just serve me. I run my business in a way where I'm looking for like win-win-wins. So win for me, win for my client, and win for the world. I'm operating from an understanding that I'm not like the separate individual that has to like extract value from people around me. I'm part of the whole universe. And so I want to operate in a way where I don't just benefit myself. I definitely want to benefit myself, but I also want to benefit everything around me. So that's like one layer of that. Is like it almost like it touches really big questions like, why am I here? What is my purpose? And all these things. And so I have found that running a business that is financially sustainable for me, that allows me to live the life that I want, that empowers people to grow their businesses, feels really meaningful to me. So that is one layer of it. Another layer of it for me is running your business in a way that is sustainable. So having success in the financial realm, like growing your business, is great. But if it's at the expense of your health, which so many people know, and I've definitely been there, what the hell am I doing? Or if I put so much energy into my business and my relationships really suffer, I don't want that. So another layer of the conscious business for me is understanding how business is one part of my life and it's related to many other areas. And so I want to operate in my business in a way, again, where I have those win-win-wins, where my relationships actually flourish because I'm running my business, where my health is becoming better because I'm getting the income that I need and the spacious lifestyle that really suits me.
Yeah.
So those are like, let's say, two components of what I would consider conscious business. I'm curious if there's anything you want to add, Roland.
Yeah, actually, I can absolutely relate to it. I mean, to be honest, when I was young, in my 18, 19, when I started running businesses in my 20s, for me, it was all about success and money, to be honest, because I grew up from a lower middle class. Money was always an issue. So I was really, very hungry. I was working like crazy. And I remember that I was always reading, there was no internet at the time, no. So I was always reading books and listening to tapes, but I was reading books about people who are successful in business, kind of role models. And I remember I was reading a book about a very famous, actually he already passed away years ago, very famous CEO of Renault, of the French Renault Citroën, of this huge automotive company. He was very, at the time, we talk about the 80s, he was very, very successful. Like at the same time, like Lee Iacocca was with Chrysler in the US. This was the guy was in Europe. And I was reading the book and I said, wow, cool. This guy is amazing. It's cool. And then, in the last chapter, he wrote, yeah, and then my wife left me and I married my secretary.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck? And I gave this book away and I said, no. I don't want to end up like this. I don't want to end up like this. As you said, my health is suffering or my relationship is suffering. That doesn't make any sense because you can have the coolest lifestyle in the world, the money you have, but when you're alone and you're not healthy, it doesn't make any sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe another way that I like to talk about this with my clients or in workshops is a term that I got from one of my business mentors, and he calls it play your game. So that just means that if I'm playing somebody else's game, like if I'm trying to win at something that is not meaningful to me and not fun for me, I cannot win. So I need to know myself. I need to know what works for me. I need to know what I enjoy, the kind of schedule that, feels good and meaningful to me, so that I'm able to play my game in business. Because as you said, like a lot of people are, and this is, by the way, like why I feel quite turned off by a lot of like business advice out there, because it feels like very let's go for financial success no matter what. And I've just never been interested in that. I always wanted to play my game. And my game is I want my health to flourish, and I want to have a spacious schedule. And so the more that I understand myself, the more I can run a conscious business that actually really suits. I know quite a lot of really successful people who are really unhappy, right? And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, it might be a bit more challenging to see, like, how do these moving pieces all fit together so that everything that matters to me is in its place and feels good, but it's totally possible.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I also really agree with the fact that, like, find role models that embody what you find cool on all levels, not just one, because otherwise you might find that, like, yeah, you can learn from them, but you will, like, learn the stuff you find valuable, but, like, subconsciously you will also learn stuff about other areas where they might really not be living the life that you want to be living. So it's good to choose people who you feel like they represent, like, what you want to move towards on all levels, or on as many as possible, let's say.
Absolutely, and it's so. And I think it's so important to consider this from the beginning, and not,
Yeah.
running, chasing the money, and then you find out, oh my gosh, I don't know my kids,
Yeah.
I don't know where my wife is, and the relationship is broken, my health is suffering. But to be honest, I just started a business with a very good friend of mine. We mentor very rich couples who have everything, houses all over the globe and whatever luxury they have, but the relationship is almost gone. So there's no intimacy anymore. And we help them to bring intimacy back, because they lost it on the way on hustling. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we talk about conscious, and I lost, the opposite is unconscious. Yeah. So many people are unconscious, but I believe that there's, I don't know what your experience is, but there's a shift in society going on, especially the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years. People are rethinking about their life, what they're doing, getting out of the treadmill more, but also younger people. I know when with the business I'm consulting, they tell me, oh, what the fuck we're doing with this new guys from you coming directly from university. The first thing to talk about is not about give me a mobile phone, give me a company car. What was an issue for me in the beginning, when you're young, in the 80s, company car, whatever, cool. But now what they're asking for is, yeah, can I only have a 4-day working day or stuff like that for leisure time, travel time? So there's a absolutely shift in values. What is important for people who are working for you?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. I think the times we're living in ask for, well, they're very complex, and it's not as simple as it, for example, was for, let's say, my grandparents' generation, who, like, came out of World War II, and their task was very simple, as, like, rebuild society. Everything is lying in crumbles, so all we can do is get our asses up and do the work. And so we're living in times where there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of complexity, and a lot of questions that my generation can ask themselves, we can ask ourselves, that previous generations couldn't. And so I think things around, like, what feels internally really meaningful, as opposed to just doing things that get me recognition from the outside. And so this opens up a whole new box of questions that I need to answer, of, like, well, how much do I want to earn? Not just, like, how much do I want to work, or what is the ratio between my income and the amount of hours that I want to do, right? So there's just a lot more complexity that we need to navigate, because there's also a bigger expectation on individuals to figure out what they actually want, because we have so much choice. Like, we're getting much less told, at least, like, explicitly, what we're supposed to do, and much more, like, we're being asked, well, what do you want to do? And if you suffer, then it's your responsibility, because it's your choice, right? So that puts a lot of pressure onto ourselves to actually figure it out. That's, like, one thing that I see really strongly.
So for people who want to start their own business, because they came from a university, they don't want to join the corporate world, or a business, who want to get out of the corporate world, starting their own business, whatever it is, what do you see are the first steps to consider? What really have to to keep in mind before starting or making even the decision about running a business?
So first of all, I don't encourage people to go all in. I encourage people to start things on the side, um, because it gives you much more space for experimentation and less pressure. And I think the simplest thing to do is to see what are challenges or problems people in your network are facing that you might be able to solve. Like it's very simple. You don't need like a new audience, a super clear offer, and all of these things. You just become curious. What are challenges people are facing? Where there's also a match with things that feel very easy for you. Like for example, one thing that I'm really good at that I found out, I don't know, like 10 years ago maybe, is I can help people who are very divergent thinkers, meaning they think in all different directions at the same time. They have tons of ideas, and I can help them converge these ideas, like kind of like asking, well, okay, what does that mean, and what is the next step? How can we move this forward? So that's why I became a coach, because I really enjoy doing this, and it feels very simple to me. So,
Mhm.
but that can be many things. That can be solving a particular challenge people have. If you're like really crafty, it can also be like creating something. And so I would encourage you to start really small and validate that there are people in your current network who are willing to pay for something that you want to create. And once you've validated that, okay, then you can take the next step. But the big issue that I see a lot of people having is like they think about scale from the very beginning, which is unrealistic, and it's just you're setting yourself up for a big failure rather than a lot of small failures that help you redirect until you can get to the big success.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. I mean, I still do this, ladies and gentlemen, and David, because I'm starting two new businesses, as I said in the beginning, and I also started with the network. I had a feeling about, okay, what is needed, what kind of pain have people around me. As I said, are a lot of people like my same age, maybe 10 years younger or same age like my, who is very successful, but the relationship is a little bit, yeah, it's they're still friends, they're still in love, but there's no intimacy. That's one point.
Yeah.
And then I see people want to get out of the rat race, out of the treadmill, and so I started my two business because I saw the issues, the challenges people in my network are facing, and all my clients working with me are from my network. As I said, not from a website or
Yeah.
somewhere. It's coming, of course, because if clients are happy to recommend me to other people, but because most people, especially those who are starting a new business, okay, first of all, I guess I don't know what you see, but I will see three main fears. First of all, I'm not in a networking kind of. I'm not working in the corporate world anymore. I cannot ask over the desk my colleague or go or
Mm.
step in another office to ask for help, for support, or just to socialize. So I'm by myself. I'm
Mhm.
alone, not getting desperate. That's one issue. The second one is, what kind of business can I offer? What is needed? What can I do? What are my skills and stuff like that? And then the next question is, how do I find clients? And I
Mhm.
don't know what your point is, but I think it's not so difficult. People make it so complicated. It's quite easy.
Yeah, I think, like, again, it reminds me of something we talked about earlier about creating pretty websites. It's like, I think a lot of these questions are a way to avoid doing the thing that is uncomfortable,
Yeah.
which could be like approaching people in your network and being like, hey, I have this idea. Do you think, like, would this be valuable for you or someone you know? Right? Like putting yourself out there. And yeah, I think one of the biggest things is this entrepreneurial mindset of like failing consistently and becoming comfortable with that,
Mm.
and understanding that, like one of my mentors says, it took him 10 years to become an overnight success. I think it's kind of a famous quote. um, and that's it. Like we have a very skewed perception of what it takes to be successful, because most of the time you only see people once they're at a certain level, but you don't see everything that they've done up until that point. And most really successful people I talk to say, I failed more times than you've tried,
Right.
and that's why I'm where I'm at. So try it out and fail miserably and get up again and realize, oh, I'm still alive and all is well. Like, I can keep on doing this. And at some point, you will get lucky, you will get a certain connection, or something just will land, and you will have a foundation on which you can build. But don't waste your time with questions that you don't need answers on. Like, you can just you can take that question. Like, questions are valuable, but don't look for answers too quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's funny because, when I get interviewed, and I speak always very open, very frankly, and I don't hide anything. And I also talk about not only about my successes in business, but also my failures. And 2 companies was just a total disaster. And I speak very open to it about it because it's part of the game. It's nothing about to be ashamed. I found out that's not working. Okay, I lost some money. I was a little bit pissed off in the beginning, but it was a learning, and it brought me closer to my success story. It's part of the game, but especially in the Western world, we are so trained about avoiding mistakes, and then we don't start. And I always say, most people are not really lazy; they're just scared of making mistakes, and then they never get started. Or, as you said, they're procrastinating the things that really have to be done. I don't know, when somebody's a coach, they're working hours and hours and hours and hours about designing a webinar or a workshop on their logo, on their website, instead of picking up the phone and calling some friends and, hey guys, I start a new company. You want to become what I do, becoming a pioneer. So I always do, when I start a new business, I always look for 3-5 people in my network and ask them, do you want to be a pioneer? You get it cheaper, half price, but we work together and you give me feedback and stuff like that. And people are so avoiding, because the point is, as long as you don't call a client the first time, you always have the illusion, it's going to work, and you try to avoid it.
I think I like, to be more precise, I would say it's fear of the discomfort of meeting reality. Because this is what entrepreneurship is all about. It's like, you have an idea, you have a vision, and then you see what happens if you bring the vision into the material world. And most likely things will look different than what you thought or what you expected. So you have to stay in this process until something just catches momentum. And then it's like, then things flow. But in this beginning, like, you have to be there, and you have to keep showing up. You have to be kind of relentless there.
Absolutely. And I think this comes in when you and I, myself and our colleagues, I mean, there are many on the market that really asking for help for the good coaches who have the experience and mentor you through this process. Because otherwise most people just give up too early. They fail a few times, and then I don't know, maybe your friends or your family or your partner say, give it up, it's not working, go back to whatever. And that's so important, that you're surrounded with having a good coach and mentor who really like a sparring partner. You really prepare you for the rough reality. And on the other hand, I don't know what you think about communities. To join a community with like-minded people who also are entrepreneurs, and not say, sorry, teachers, if you're a teacher out there, but not people who are just running a easy job paid by the government, you know what I mean? So people who go on risk or stuff like that, and surround with like-minded people, and push yourself and inspire and motivate yourself. I guess it's also very important to join a community. And nowadays, with all these digital tools, it's easy to connect with other people in the world. What do you think about communities and coaches supporting people starting in the business? Not only starting, I still have a coach. But,
absolutely. Like, I think this never ends. And I think a big reason why community is so important is because if people are on the same path as you, you'll start normalizing the challenges you're facing. If you're the only one on an entrepreneurial path, you will think that, having, financial doubts, or a client canceling on you, or whatever it is, a launch not going well, that this means something about you. But if you're surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurs, you just know that this means you're on an entrepreneurial path, and you're able to contextualize experiences differently. And you get to hear from other people saying, like, this happened to me 7 times. It's completely normal. And suddenly you have like this exhale of like, this has nothing to do with me. This is just a journey.
Yeah. I'm not the only loser here in this market, so
Exactly.
it's part of the game. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
part of the game. And most people are really scared about getting a no, and they don't understand that the person is saying no to your service at the moment. It's not saying no to you as a person. Yeah.
Yeah. And
To
I
separate
think,
this.
yes, I agree. And this is where I think running your business is a really powerful, like, personal development tool, is it will bring up all these wounds inside of you of like feeling rejected and feeling like you're not good enough and all these kind of things. And this is what I love about running a business is you have to face these things if you want to succeed. So it's like the greatest personal development program you could enroll on, because it's like tailor-made for you. Like, your challenges will come up and you will get triggered in the most beautiful ways so that you grow and so that you can become the person that you want to be. Like, I think this is how I look at business. And maybe this is also part of why I would say, like, it's a conscious business that, I grow with it. It's not just something that happens and I'm just like the operator or the mechanic in it, but it's like, no, this transforms me as well.
Absolutely. I remember when I started a franchise business years ago with thousands of people all over the globe, and they said the most the most benefit I got out of course, it was the money was amazing, but what I was learning about it was
Yeah.
learning about myself, and I know I can transfer this knowledge, this experience to every part of my life, to another business, to relationships, whatever it is. You learn so much about yourself. Yeah, what you said. Yeah, what your triggers, or how you react on rejection, for example, how you deal with emotions, how you deal with procrastinations, and whatever. It comes, so much stuff comes up, and it's absolutely true. It's a personal development program. Absolutely, it's included.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you have
Absolutely.
to be on board with it. Like,
Yeah.
you cannot complain that this stuff is coming up. Like, you're signing up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. We're coming slowly to the end. So, first of all, we can tell our audience we do another show and another episode next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're curious about what it is, next week, same time, same station, Thursday, we're gonna talk with David about authentic marketing. So, today we touched about conscious business. Next time we go a little bit deeper when you say, okay, I want to start, or I'm already have a business, how to have an authentic marketing, meaning is your business or your products, whatever, a mirror of yourself. So we bring David again next week. David, what is the main takeaway we want to give to people, give to our audience today about conscious business? What is your one key?
Well, I would say be courageous. And if you are willing to learn about yourself and look at business as like a mirror of who you are or an extension of who you are, then I think entrepreneurship is a really powerful journey to lots of freedoms, but also to such deep learning about who you are and how life functions.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks a lot. David, thanks a lot. Thanks for your sharing your insights, your experience. I highly appreciate it. And as I said in the beginning, I also joined some of your master classes. I highly recommend them. They're in English, not in German, ladies and gentlemen. They're in English. So, and they're online. So wherever you're joining us from all over the world, you can join us. You can join David's master classes in different areas.
Yeah,
and
so
we bring
maybe
it up
just
next week.
maybe just
Sorry?
briefly the first link is like a collection of my best trainings on things around conscious business and authentic marketing. So if you sign up to this, you see the different master classes and trainings there that are included, and the two that you joined, they're also part of that, and you just get access to all of them straight away. So this is a great place to get to know my work, learn some powerful stuff around how to show up authentically and run a business in a nervous system friendly way, and it's completely for free, so not losing anything.
Absolutely. And as David said in the beginning, don't forget, spiritual entrepreneur doesn't mean that you become a spiritual guru or a spiritual teacher or a priest or whatever. It means that you're fully, consciously a holistic, successful business in all areas, not suffering your relationships or your health. It's a holistic approach. Again, thanks, David. Until
Thank you
next
so much.
week.
It was
I'm very
very
looking
fun.
forward.
See you next
Bye,
week.
man. Bye. So this was David Lyon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you got some insights, some new, maybe a new look, a new perspective about how you can do business. And times are changing; they're more challenging, they're more complex. It's so very important that I think it's about time giving away your mask, living the life you are. And I strongly believe that your business should be authentic, meaning should be a mirror of your personality. Yeah, thanks a lot. If you want to join myself, talk to me, go on roland-friedl.com. That's my main website. From there, you can link to Spartan Performance System. That's the business website where we have different facilitation consulting. Myself and my team, we work in 8 languages, 8 or 9 languages all over the globe. Wireless Life Rocks. This is for people who want to have the same, I was say, crazy lifestyle like myself, meaning having a remote life, whatever this means, meaning like myself, like the last 2.5 years, traveling through Europe in my motorhome and working and living in my motorhome, or before living in different places on this globe. Maybe you prefer to travel by airplane and go to hostels or Airbnbs or hotel, whatever. And Sparing for Man is one of my, also my, how to say, yeah, one of my babies. It's all about supporting men to going back into their masculinity. So thanks a lot. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being with us with the USA Global TV and Radio family. Go also on our YouTube channel, subscribe if you haven't done, write your comment down, get in contact with us. It's all about caring and sharing. Let me know your opinion. I come back to you. If you write to me, I'm very happy to connect with you. And as we see you again with TMC, with the Mallorca Connection, next Thursday, same time, same procedure. Thank you. And now we are going to give over to our sponsor, a short commercial of our sponsor. Thanks a lot. See you again. Bye-bye.
We face daily cyber risks, spending over 7 hours of screen time, including 4.5 hours on mobile phones. This convenience comes with significant dangers, with cybercrime costs predicted to exceed $10.5 trillion by 2025. In 2023 alone, seniors lost over $3.4 billion to cybercrime. Our goal is to make social engineering concepts of cybersecurity easier to understand. We work with business teams, senior living facilities, investment companies, and educational institutions, both individually and in groups. We offer real-life examples to help you recognize and prevent attacks, with sessions available both in person, in selected regions, and remotely. Schedule your training session, or to learn more, contact us today. Call us at 847-845-9360. Email us at info@cybersecurityeasy.com. Protect your team and family with cybersecurityeasy.com.
My name is Dr. Felix Kravitz, and I am the founder of cybersecurityeasy.com, LLC. We live in a world full of vulnerabilities and cyber risks. We spend almost 4.5 hours a day on our mobile phones. It's over 7 hours of screen time daily when including computer use. We often forget that this convenience comes with risks. Published data predicts that the cost of cybercrime will exceed $10.5 trillion in 2025. These numbers encompass not only businesses, but also each one of us, including our children and our parents. In 2023, the FBI reported over $3.4 billion lost by seniors aged 60 and older. Cybersecurityeasy.com LLC's initiative is to massively support the community by providing cyber safety coaching and improving social engineering awareness. Our goal is to make social engineering concepts of cybersecurity easier to understand. We work with business teams, seniors, and educational institutions, both individually and in groups. We cover various topics from phone phishing attacks to AI-generated voice cloning, robocalls, password protection, and more using life examples. Talk to us today. Call us at 847-845-9360 or email us at info@cybersecurityeasy.com.